Okay. Hello, everyone. Stacy, co-founder or founder of CEO Essentials, and coming to you today with Casie Rivas, who is the founder and principal of Rivas Law. She is an entrepreneur with a law degree. She says she's a lawyer. I say, no, you're an entrepreneur with a law degree. So she's been in her own business for a couple of years now and has built a successful and reputable firm here locally. And so she's here on our Thursday call. And so I thought, since we're on the call together, I was going to do some interviewing of her because I just really admire the way she does business. She does business with integrity. Like she stays fully aligned with her values and who she is as a person in a industry that's not typically aligned with the values that she shares. So for her coming into a male dominated bulldogish kind of industry and coming in with grace and with love and with compassion and with empathy and holding to those values in the law field, it has been a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness, to be a part of. And she is personally my personal business attorney and helps me with a lot of the stuff that I have going on. And it's just a completely different experience doing business with her. And what I love so much is that it's authentic. And that is what I love about the way I do business. It's being authentic. And at this stage of my life, I realize we're raised by a society that says you should be this way, you need to be this way in order to be loved and accepted and a part of the society. You need to act a certain way and be a certain way. So we're taught and conditioned away from the truth of who we are. And then we get into our 30s and 40s and we start thinking, wait a minute, I just want to be authentic with who I am. And I want to do business that way. And I want to be authentic in every aspect of my life. It just feels so good to be authentic. And it's not an easy thing to do in the society we live in. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of environmental influences around us that want to pull us away from who we are. And Casie has done a phenomenal job in her life, just in her own spiritual walk and her own personal growth and development, finding out who she is, right? Uncovering who she is, and then living that in the world that doesn't really support that. So I love that about you. So thank you for being here and for sharing a little bit about your journey and who you are with the rest of the audience. Because I think that it's really important that we are authentic, because we each have something very unique to bring to the world. And when we're all bringing what we have to bring to the world's going to be a very different place. And so how can we be more authentic and true to who we are in every aspect of what we do? And so I wanted to talk specifically about 4 pillars or pathways that I have found that help me be authentic and true in who I am in my everyday life. And I think you've taken on these tools to create a pathway for you to be true and authentic in a world that doesn't support that. And so I just want to unpack that a little bit with you. If we could just talk a little bit about that. So starting with one of the first things that came to me in 2020 as I was going through my journey was the creation formula. And the creation formula is a clear-cut way that we interact with the creation formula, with the creative energy, with the life force energy. So it talks about the life force energy is with us all the time. We're bathed in this energy. And the whole purpose of this is to bring life to potential. So we hold the space for the potential to be brought to life by the life force energy. We think a lot of times that it's our job to make things happen and to create things in our life. And based on the creation formula, that's not the case. It's the life force energy that brings things to life. It's our job to hold the template for what we want to create. And we can do that with our operating system, which is our mind, body, and soul. So with the mind, body, and soul, when we're aligned with our mind, body, and soul, and we hold the template, then the life force energy does the heavy lifting that creates the actual external circumstances. So when we first started learning about this in 2020, you really took that on and it really impacted you. So can you talk a little bit to that and speak about how that changed the way you did business and how that changed the way you do your personal life?
Yeah, I think I was fortunate because I started, I started my business in May of 2019. And then, probably 6 months in, we met and started talking. So I think I was very fortunate to just be so new to business and this adventure and lined up with meeting you because honestly, the first 6 months of being out on my own, I had no idea what I was doing. And was trying to figure it out on my own and floundering a little. And then you proposed this and it just clicked. It made sense. And so I was fortunate enough to only have really 6 months of wandering around and not knowing what to do. And this came along and I just embraced it. It made sense to me. I've always been very spiritual. I have very strong faith in God, and I can objectively look at my life and know that I'm only here where I am because this was the plan for me and that God wanted me here. I mean, there's points in my life that just don't make sense the way things worked out. It's not. So I'm blessed to have that. I think a lot of people get to where they are and they don't have those milestones that they can look back on, but I do. And so just knowing that the only reason I'm where I am is because I'm meant to be here. And then, the way you frame it and the creation energy, it just made sense to me and it clicked. And I thought this is absolutely, it felt like truth. And so I embraced it. And it's absolutely, it is a different mindset entirely, especially for business owners. But once you embrace it and you truly make it part of your day to day, it does make sense and it does click.
So can you give a practical example of something in your business where you think of, okay, this is the creation formula, this is my part, this is God's part, and how it unfolds in a example?
So really just in my business, what I did, because, starting a law firm, so when I decided to go out on my own and I had one client, I did all the research, how to start, how to get new clients, how to, and there's all these things you can read on how to do it the right way. And even, 6 months in, I hadn't really done any of those things because none of it felt right, none of it. And so I was trying to figure out how to make it work with something that felt right. And so that's been my biggest, I don't know, I guess sign or example of working with the formula is that things feel right. That's been the biggest thing is that I need to make a decision. I need to expand my office or hire another employee. And it doesn't make sense on the books. Like the money's not there. The money is not there, flat out 100%, but it feels right. And so I'm not basing decisions on the internet says, you're gonna be in the red for 3 years. All businesses lose money for the first 3 years, and this is what you're told, and it's okay. Embrace it. And then here's when you hire, and here's when you scale, and all the stuff. And really, it's just been decision making based on what feels right and going with it, and knowing that it doesn't make sense. I don't have the funds or the ability to take on what I'm taking on, but it's going to be fine. Because it just feels right. And that's been the biggest part is that I was thinking about this actually the other day. I was wanting to make a purchase for the business. I was like, well, I don't know what your finances look like. I was like, well, should I buy this? Should I do this? And so I don't really know what the finances look like. He said, I don't know how much money you have. And my instant response, I didn't even hesitate. My instant response was, I have infinite money. And he just looked at me in his eyes. I said that without even thinking about it. And that's really been the biggest thing for me is that feeling of just knowing that the decision feels right. And I don't know if that answered your question, but I can think of so many examples. So when I expanded my space from a little one office room into a long-term lease in the building, I didn't have that money, but I knew I was going to need the space. It just felt right. And then I hired my first employee. And I even told her when I brought her on, I don't have the money to pay you, but we'll figure it out. I'm now at 4 people. I'm now at 4 employees, and every single time, it hasn't made sense on the books, right? It hasn't made practical sense, but I know within me that it's what needs to be done, and I'm just trusting the rest of it.
Right. And so you've had those experiences now, and now that you can trust even more. And it helps that you had a spiritual foundation, right? Because you had some
Mhm.
trust and faith that you had built over time. And then you came into this, and then here's this formula, and it says you can totally trust the life force energy,
Mhm.
and you just need to keep your mind, body, and soul aligned, and the rest will take care of itself. And so you actually answered the next question, which has to do with human design, because when we come in here and we're saying, okay, it building a business with the creation formula, it's non-linear. It's not
Mhm.
like, it's not always going to make sense to your human mind, but if you follow your journey and what's correct for you, it will work itself out. And so it's this very nebulous, airy fairy kind of way of building a business, and it's hard to explain, but the creation formula does a good job of framing it. And then the next step we did when we were talking about the creation formula was human design. And so human design is a system of ancient wisdom based on your time, place, and date of birth that's very specific to you. And with that human design, you're told, here's your strategy in life. Here's how you interact with the life force energy. Here's what you're designed to do for humanity. And here is how you're designed to make decisions. And it's not with your mind, which is
Mhm.
just completely off the rails. So you're introduced to this human design where it told you you're a generator out of the 5 types. That's the type you are, which is about 33% of the population. You're designed to respond to life based on how you feel about something. You have a tremendous amount of instinctive power in your chart, in your human design. And so you can trust your intuition, but you also have the emotional roller coaster, which means that when it's a big decision, it's typically good for you to sleep on it for a night or two. And there's a great example that you had early on in your business where, but I want to go back to human design, then we'll talk about this. So I want to stay with human design. Okay. So you're designed to respond. You're designed to go with your gut, what your gut says. You have a good instinct with you. You can trust that. You're not designed to make decisions with your mind. And you're here to, your profile is a 1-3, which means you're here to be an expert in something. So you, whatever it is that lights you up, you dig deep and you learn more about it and you become the expert. And then the 3 is you're designed to go and experiment, like go and make mistakes and figure out what doesn't work, so you know what does work. So you're like bringing new ways to humanity of how we do business through trial and error. So you're the trial and error person. So you, the boldness that you have now with that is pretty amazing to watch you navigate this and be so bold, and act without fear. So now let's talk about human design and having that knowledge, how that helped you navigate, which you basically just answered. But do you have any other things to add with the human design piece and knowing that about yourself?
Yeah. So, I mean, I truly believe, and I think anybody and everybody would agree with this on a high level, is that we are all absolutely created differently, right?
Mhm.
That no two of us are the same, and no two of us have the same purpose. If we all had the same purpose, what would be the point? Like, right?
Right.
We are, God has a purpose when he creates all of us. The
Mhm.
problem is that we're born into this world that tries to make us all fit, and we lose our purpose. And so
Yes.
we have to find a way to find that again. And so I think that's really what human design did. And we can call it whatever we want, human design. I do believe that God inspires people to have an understanding, right? To
Mhm.
help us understand ourselves. And that's how I see human design, is that it's there's a chart and there's the in numbers, but really what it is, it's a tool for God to show me how I'm supposed to work.
Mm.
And if I embrace that as a tool for me to understand myself and my purpose better, then that's what it will be for me.
Mhm.
And so that's how I see it, is that God has to have ways of talking to us. And here's my chart, and this is what God's trying to tell me about myself.
Mhm.
And what that when I thought that, and yeah, I realized that, and I thought, okay, I'm going to embrace this as a tool to just know me, and I'm going to see what
Mhm.
happens. And like you said, that my intuition on my chart was completely lit up. And I've always known I had a strong intuition about things, but the world wants you to be able to rationalize, explain your answer. I always hated that in school.
Yeah.
Explain your answer. And so really, what it just human design gave me permission to follow what I already knew was right. When it feels right, follow your instincts. If something lights you up, follow it. And the sleep on it thing is absolutely correct. And so it really just gives me insight and permission. It's like
Mhm.
my permission slip. This is how you're
Mhm.
created. You don't have to be like everyone else. This is what you're intended to be. Embrace it. And it
Mhm.
gives you permission to at least go that route and see what happens.
Right.
And so that's how I see it. I see it as my permission slip.
Yeah.
My here's how you are. Go embrace it and see what happens.
Yes, I love that. And that is what human design is. It's an experiment into who you are. So
Mhm.
it's like, here's some stuff, like go play with it and see if it makes sense. And if it does, great, right? And if it doesn't, then follow something else. But here's just some information that could be true. And you took it on and like, let me try this on. Let me see if this
Yeah.
works and experiment with it. And then so then your experience as a result of trying those things on was that it worked, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
things
Yeah.
worked the
Hmm.
exactly how it said it should work. And you've been
Right. Yeah.
experimenting with that ever since. And I want to talk about you had a proposal. You had a group come to you and say, we want you to be the legal for this organization. Give us your price, your monthly price. And you came up with a price and you were so excited. You were like lit up, like it lit you up and you were super excited and you had a price. And you thought, wait a minute, but I'm supposed to sleep on, I'm supposed to sleep on decisions when they're big decisions. So I'm going to sleep on it. Like you could have answered them that day and been ecstatic and happy and it would have been fine, but you decided to sleep on it. So you slept on it. And then the next morning you woke up and you thought, wait a minute, that's not enough money. I was going to charge this, but I should actually charge twice as much.
Hmm.
And then you doubled it and proposed it and they didn't bat an eye.
Right.
That was such a beautiful
Hmm.
example of how we're designed. And when we're listening to our design and moving with our design, things actually work out better. Now you could have given them the price the day before and it probably would have been fine,
And
right?
really what I found with the sleeping on it, and sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's weeks, is that here's the funny thing, if you'll experiment with this, um, my brain will bounce around.
Mhm.
So like today, I'm making a decision today, my brain says A. And I said, no, I'm going to sleep on it. So tomorrow my brain says B.
Mhm.
A week from now, my brain says E, right? So my brain will bounce around to find that solution. And that's the part that I think I'm designed to override and designed to go beyond that. And that's what the sleeping on it does for me, is because if you sleep on it, you'll realize that your brain will bounce around. And so the answer A wasn't really the answer.
Mhm.
Just like answer B and answer E, your brain is going to come up with a solution every day.
Mhm.
That's not just because it's the first one, doesn't mean it's the right one. And
Yes.
so digging past that, oh, here's the solution, and saying, no, I'm going to sit with it a minute. And then
Mhm.
the next day, oh, here's a different solution. And then, oh, I'm going to sit with that one. And you learn to realize that it's not the brain that's correct, it's the
Mhm.
gut that's correct, because the
Yeah.
brain will change every day just to
Yeah.
fit that peg, like just to check it off the list and fit the peg. And so, there's something now in my business. And Stacy, you know this because I reached out to you last week about it. I've been having a lot of anxiety about one particular aspect of my business, and I feel it in my gut, and I have been sitting with it, and
Mhm.
I don't know what the solution is, but I've just been letting it sit there and trying to figure out what is it, and I've been sitting with my gut, and my brain's going nuts, trying to rationalize and fix it and
Mhm.
put pegs and I'm just like, no, I'm sitting with it. Even as uncomfortable as it is uncomfortable to be anxious and uncertain
Mhm.
about parts of the business, but I'm
Mhm.
sitting with it because I'm not going to make a decision with my brain. I'm just not going to do it. I've
Mhm.
learned that that doesn't work. And so I'm letting the anxiety or the worry or the uncertainty just sit there until it
Mhm.
feels right. And
Mhm.
I'll know when it clicks because it'll be in
Yeah.
my gut and not my head.
Yes, yes, yes. And that the mind is such a powerful, powerful thing that we have. It's a powerful tool that we have. And it also is changeable. And it contains all the conditioning that we've received from growing up, from our environment. So it receives all the conditioning that we have that's telling us not to be who we are, lives in our mind. And so when we're trying to be authentic to who we are, our mind can can change, and it can go in multiple different directions based on our emotions, based on the environment we're in, based on the people we're around. Our mind can be changeable, like just like you said. And that's why human design says the mind is never the decision maker in anybody's chart. Now, everybody's different with as far as how they make decisions. Some people are immediately, they have the immediate gut response, and it's correct for them to act on that. But and some people are emotional, so they want to wait that out over a day or two. But it says always, always, always the mind is not the decision maker. And so you've really embraced that because you do have such a strong intuition, and you've learned how to navigate the changing circumstances, and you know exactly when it clicks in. When it clicks in and
Right.
you know it, you can move forward with confidence and go forward. And it
Right.
works. That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think people, and I think because our brain does bounce so much, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
realize it's your brain bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
People feel it manifests as confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel confused. So like, I don't know how to solve this. I can't come up with a solution. Really, that's your brain trying to process solution A or B or C. It's just trying to fit that hole. Like your
Mm-hmm.
brain wants to solve it. And
Mm-hmm.
so it gives you 10 different solutions that could work, that might work.
Yes.
And that creates confusion. It feels like confusion.
Yes.
And so that really is it means you haven't found it yet,
Mm-hmm.
because that means your gut hasn't clicked. So your brain's still trying to solve the problem for you,
Mm-hmm.
but your gut knows it's not there yet. Your
Mm-hmm.
instinct, that your true you knows, nope, we haven't found the solution yet.
Mm-hmm.
But people think it's confusion, and that's what I think is one of also the biggest tools of just embracing this, is you don't feel that confusion, because confusion will drive you nuts, right? It'll drive you
Mm-hmm.
crazy,
Yeah.
trying to bounce from solution to solution and trying to that frenzy. And while I'm sitting with the problem, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
sitting with it until the solution feels right. I don't feel confused about it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a frenzied confusion. It's an acknowledgement that I have a concern. It
Mm-hmm.
needs a solution. I'm not there yet, and I'm feeling kind of uncertain and anxious about it, but I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
confused. I don't know if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, but I think that
Yes.
that's one of the biggest things that has helped me, is it doesn't feel like confusion. It just feels like I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
it's always that certainty that the answer is coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming. I just have to be patient. And when it clicks, it'll click. But in the meantime, I don't feel confused about it. I just know that it's there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Well, and the other thing that you're saying, and what I'm hearing you say, is that you've gotten to a space where you're comfortable with the discomfort. You don't have to
Yes.
change it right now, which a lot of
Mhm.
times when we have discomfort, we're like, okay, we got to fix it now because this is uncomfortable. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be in the angst. I don't want to have this. I don't want to feel this angst. So our mind wants to fix it right then. But you've really got the patience. And over time, you've got the trust
Over time. Yeah.
that it's okay. It's okay to be
Hmm.
uncomfortable. It's okay to not have the answer, and it's okay to be an angst. It's
Yeah.
part of being alive.
And that's truly, it has been. So for 3 years of knowing that I made a decision that didn't make sense, and it has always, every single step, as long as I follow that gut,
Mhm.
has been correct.
Mhm.
And has worked. Even the things that, a year ago I paid $10,000, which is a huge chunk of money when you're starting up, to be part of a group. Um, I wasn't really impressed with the group. I didn't end
Mhm.
up liking it. I didn't make any connections. And of course, I'm beating myself up over that wasted money. And my
Mhm.
brain starts processing all the things I could have bought with that money. But, what a waste, what a waste. And then just this week, I'm contacted by someone who I met through the group, and it's an entire new business opportunity. And
Mm.
so even those things that your brain processes as a failure,
Yes.
if you follow your gut, eventually, I've seen so many examples of that in my business,
Mhm.
so many, that
Mhm.
now I can't doubt it. Like, right? Like
Right.
now, even that wasted money, my brain's telling me you wasted that on.
Right.
I haven't been a part of the group in months, and all of a sudden I get an email, and it could be this whole new adventure for me. And so many examples of that. And
Mhm.
if you will in your mind put milestones and remember those things, it's much easier to sit with the uncomfortableness. That didn't
Mhm.
come day one. Day one, I would have tried to solve this problem. Now I'm
Mhm.
sitting with it, and I'm like, it's okay, because all these other examples of things that just, I went with it, I made a
Mhm.
decision, and it always resulted in something good for my business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier. It's definitely a practice, and it's definitely.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
And that's in the I love that's why I love the term experiment, because it is it's something you're playing with and you're experimenting with over time. You learn more about it, and then you get better at sitting with the angst. In the beginning for you, was it, how did you make that transition from the mind making all the decisions to listening to your gut? Because that is a big leap, especially when it doesn't make sense. Was there
Mhm.
a particular instance where you said, you know what, this feels right, and I'm going to try it and I'm going to experiment with this myself?
I think, I didn't have a plan. And I think that that's what made it easy for me to embrace. It was just me when I embraced it. Like I said, it was early on in my business. It was just me. I knew that even failure really just meant going and getting another job. I didn't have, so I don't want to pretend like this was easy. It was easy for me, easier, I think, for me because I didn't have employees relying on me. My husband had a steady job. So there wasn't a critical outcome if I failed.
Yeah.
And so I was able to just kind of jump off and leap into it. But also, I just, people know when we all know when things feel right and when they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely have felt right. And I've been in groups and, networking of things that don't feel right. And I walked
Mm-hmm.
away. I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. This from day one, I was like, this makes sense. It makes sense. And if you're able to get rid of all of the fluff that's in our brains, all the stuff that
Mm-hmm.
clouds up and our decisions and the society says this, and this, who cares? Forget about
Mm-hmm.
all that and just what feels right. And it clicks and it feels right. And I just kind of jumped off the diving board and said,
Mm-hmm.
what's the worst that could happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I find myself asking that a lot. What's the worst that could happen? As a matter of fact, we were laughing about that the other day. My backup plan has always been I'm going to go stock shelves at Walmart at night because that sounds like a dream job, put your headphones in and just stock shelves. And that we joke that's my backup plan. But really, if you really break it down, what's the absolute worst thing that could happen? And
Mm-hmm.
that's the surrender experiment that you talk about. And what is the absolute worst that could happen here?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say absolute worst thing in my life. What? I don't succeed. Okay, then what? Then what? Then what? And even when you chase it all the way back to the then what's, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I completely fail and have to start over, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even the worst case scenario is okay. And I
Right.
think that that's really embracing that and knowing that even absolute worst case scenario, if I can think of the worst thing that could possibly happen, it's all okay.
Right. Right.
Even that outcome is really okay.
Yeah. So it gives you the freedom and the
Mhm.
ability to jump off and take risks that
Yeah.
you have to do as an entrepreneur.
Even failure is okay. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the only reason any of us are afraid of failure is because we're afraid of what other people think about it. Well, who cares what other people think about it? If my business fails, and that means there's something else for me, and that's okay too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the you just talked on the surrender experiment. Now I want to move into intentions, because intentions is kind of like the bow on top of the whole operating system. We got our mind, body, and soul. There's a lot that goes into that, but intention really is the framework. And this is how we can harness the power of our mind to bring into being what we want to bring into being. It's through using intentions. And so we talk about setting intentions, and holding space for what we want to have happen. And so for me, what that looked like is when I went into my surrender experiment, I was like, okay, it's my intention. So I set this one intention that I could come back to that could set the framework for then the life force energy to fill in the blanks. And so I came up with this intention that it's my intention to make a positive impact in the world with power and sustainability, using whatever my unique skill set is. And I was really open to whatever that looked like. And so I set that intention. And so what would happen is when my mind would start saying, you got to figure this out. You got to figure out how to make money. You got to figure out how to make your business work. You got to figure out what business you're going to do. Like all of these things that my mind was just trying to figure everything out because it was uncomfortable because I was in between businesses. So when my mind would go crazy and start into strategy, I could bring it back and say, nope, this is my intention. And that's it. This is my intention.
Mhm.
So all the things that my mind wanted to figure out and do and going crazy, I could just bring it back. No, this is my intention. And so I had it on my phone. I had it on my computer. I had it on my mirror. I had reminders on my phone that I'd have an alarm go off to remind me to remember the intention, because our minds are so busy. They go in a million different directions. But when we learn to harness that, right? And intentions is a great way to harness the energy of our mind. So can you talk a little bit about how you use intentions in your life on a day-to-day basis and in your business, and how that knowledge really impacted you?
Yeah. And I think with intentions, I think the biggest thing to grasp is I'm not supposed to find the solution. That's not my job. My
Mm,
job is not to find the solution. My job is to decide what I want and what I want to bring to this world and what I want. That's the intention. And then the universe leads me to the solution. And so it's just that opposite. I think the greatest example you gave when it really clicked with me, that I remember the moment it clicking was we were talking about one of my goals, lose 20 pounds. And you asked me, why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Well, I have a whole half a closet of clothes that don't fit me. And you looked at me now, you said, if you could fit into those clothes and feel comfortable and never diet a day in your life, would you do it? I'm like, absolutely. Like nobody wants to diet. And like that's the difference in the intention and the goal. And that's when it clicked with me is I don't want to be on a diet. I don't want to lose 20 pounds. What I really want is to fit in my clothes, feel comfortable, and be confident. And that's the mind shift that between from wanting to find the solution and just knowing what your overall, what is it that you really want to be
mhm,
and do and bring. And so that's what we've tried to switch to. And that's, just like this issue that I'm feeling and I know it's there. I'm not trying to find the solution for it. I know my intention is to be in my business, to bring integrity to my field, to have joy in my workplace. That's a big one in my
mhm,
office. Joy is one of our words. I want it, my intention is for my children to be kind. Like I've set these
mhm,
overall intentions that for me to have a home where my children can feel comfortable, confident, and embrace kindness, right? So
mhm,
it's no longer I need to teach my kids proper etiquette and how to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and write a thank you card. Like we go from those things that we're supposed to do as parents and as business owners. I don't care if my children know how to write a thank you card, right? That's not really what I want them to be. I want them to be kind individuals. And
mhm,
so it's a shift. And so it allows other solutions to come in that are greater than what we could ever imagine for ourselves.
mhm,
And so I think one of the most powerful things you say often, Stacy, is I'm willing to see this a different way.
mhm,
That is one of the most powerful phrases I've ever heard is I'm willing to see this a different way because that gets rid of the need to find a solution. I don't have to
mhm,
find the solution. What I have to say is, God, I want a business where people come, they feel cared for, they feel loved, they feel joy. And at the same time, I'm really good at the services I provide, right? That's
mhm,
the overall intention. What does that look like? I don't bring me what I need to make that happen.
mhm,
Bring me the staff I need, bring me the clients I need to make that happen. And now, when there's a client that doesn't fit and we're not feeling joy and they're bringing in an energy, we all know as a group that doesn't fit our intentions, that that's probably not a relationship we want to pursue. And so it allows other solutions that we, as a business owner, I would have thought I got to take every single person that comes to the door because that's income.
right.
But my intention is more around joy and the energy in my office. That's a
Mhm,
higher purpose than money for me. And
mhm,
so I will not take a client that doesn't bring joy.
mhm,
And it totally changes mindset. And I don't have to find any solutions. I just have to know this is what I've told God I want in my
mhm,
life. And I get to decide what that is. And
yeah,
that's the power we have. We get to decide what our intentions are. We get to decide what we want overall, high
mhm,
level, and then God finds the solution for us.
yes.
And that's through the Bible and every self-help book and every ancient teaching tells us that. I mean, if you go
Mhm,
back and you start digging through the Bible and the related religious texts, it's there. We've just
mhm,
been taught differently. We've
mhm,
been taught we're solution finders. Well, we're not. We're not solution finders. And
mhm.
why would we want to do that when there's a higher power that can do it for us?
In a
Um,
powerful way
right.
that we
We
can't
just
even
have to
imagine. Our
yeah,
mind can't even go there and figure it
right.
out.
Our only job is to decide who we want to be, what we want to bring to this world, set those, and then commit. to letting God figure it out for us
Mhm.
and to following that instinct. And that's the intention setting. And that's what we've done here. That's what we've done at home with our kids. And it's made a huge difference.
Mhm.
It takes the stress of trying to figure it out, and we just
Yes. Yes.
live
Absolutely.
at a higher intention.
Mhm.
And I don't have to, because here's the thing, my knowledge and my mind is finite.
Mhm.
And so the solutions I come with are only 1 through 3.
Mhm.
There's an entire world of 4 through infinity that I don't even know exists. So why
Yeah.
would I try to find a solution to something that I don't even, I'm here.
Yeah.
So that's,
That's beautiful.
I know that was a lot, but that's
Yes.
how I see intention setting, is that giving up the solution. I've given up trying to find the solution,
Mhm.
and I just
Absolutely.
set what I know. And if the intention changes, and then I change it. If
Right.
or I embrace a new one or get rid of an old one, and then I
Yes.
just
That's
shift energy.
beautiful, beautiful. And I heard on a podcast this morning, the guy was saying we hold steadfast in our desire, our heart's desire, and we stay fluid with the goals.
Hmm.
Right. So you set a goal of, let's say I want to lose 20 pounds, but the desire really is to feel confident and feel good and to feel comfortable in my clothes. So if we hold that steadfast, I want to be confident. I want to fit in my clothes. I want to, feel good in my clothes, and let the goal be fluid, then we can have the experience a multitude of ways. There's many ways to feel comfortable in your clothes. There's many ways to feel confident in life, not just losing 20 pounds. So we can have that experience today. We can't lose 20 pounds today, but we can have the experience we want to have today in many different ways. And that's the power of intentions. Oh my goodness. We could talk for hours. We
I could
always have
talk
a
for
good
hours.
conversation.
Yeah.
I love, love, love the way you do life. You are a fantastic role model for all of us when it comes to doing business with integrity, holding true to your values, teaching your values to your team so that the whole office is holding the same values, and then just shining your light so bright. So thank you for doing what you do. And you have succeeded in my eyes, in my experience. When I come into your office, I feel cared for and I feel loved, and I feel like I'm getting excellent legal care. So thank
Well,
you so
good. Well,
much
and I
for
have to
doing that.
thank you for being brave enough to bring this, because it is different. It is
Mhm.
new. It's an entirely change in mindset.
Mm.
And so it's hard to embrace, and it takes a lot of patience to bring this to the world. But this is where we're going. And
Mhm.
those of us who want to reach that, it's all about joy. It's not
Mhm.
about grinding from day to day and working and working and working and working and hustling. It's where's your joy, and what's the best way to find that for you. And in the meantime, you're going to be super successful. And so, I applaud you for bringing that, because you feel so strongly that that is where we're going. And I agree with you. So
Mhm.
I'm embracing it. And I encourage everyone to embrace it. I mean,
Mhm.
I think what's the worst that could happen? You could find this incredible place of joy and peace.
Right.
Pretty good
With
outcome.
power, ease, and joy.
Yeah, pretty good
I love it.
outcome.
Thank you so much. I love you,
You're
girl.
welcome. Love you too. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay, bye.